Welcome to what is the first, dare I say, attempt at the Midnight Gaming podcast. Nick and I have been meaning to do this sort of thing for quite a while. Now, we're going to talk about all sorts of things to do with gaming. What we've been playing, what we've been watching, probably what we've not been playing, which is a more accurate way of describing what we do. But, we like to talk about this stuff, and hopefully you do too. So, this may become more structured over time, but I hope you enjoy it.
My CPU's spiking like a bitch.
Well, maybe it's because you're using the inbuilt Windows audio recorder.
Yeah, I know, probs.
It's a very demanding piece of software.
Right, I'm just watching another Doom trailer.
Right, let's start with Doom then, okay?
Okay.
The reason I want to talk about Doom is because it's a couple of reasons. Right, I only managed like one game in the beta, so I've barely played it. Okay, I've read more than I've actually experienced myself.
Yeah, I was away at that point. Unfortunately, I've been living my life because my problem with Doom, you see, is that I'm fine taking out kind of like, put me up against robots, put me up against people, I'm fine. The moment it's monsters, my brain just treats it as a horror game, and then I kick my little pants. So I kind of know that I'm going to play it around other people's houses.
Yeah, but
I'm
it is a
unlikely
horror
to buy
game,
it.
though.
That's what I mean. Well, I guess yeah, it is, but it's like an action horror, and I just know that I will likely end up like I'll play it, but I won't buy it.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think it's going to get much playtime because you've got Overwatch coming out, you've got Uncharted that's just come out, you've got Battleborn, which isn't really my thing, but it's getting loads of playtime.
You say that though, like I've got a lot of in terms of playtime maybe, but in terms of purchases, like in terms of the circles that I'm networking in the moment, like most of the guys are getting pretty hyped around Doom. I've seen quite a few guys already have it preloaded and like are getting like proper Doom hype. Like Battleborn, no one's really massively interested, especially the fact that they've like capped it out at like 30 FPS in a competitive shooter is just a bit odd. But Overwatch shed loads of hype. Like it's already like meme territory for people who haven't even played it yet. And Uncharted, again, I need to actually just play the rest of the franchise. That's my I guess my summary. Take us from there.
Doom. It had pretty ropey write-ups, okay? It had pretty ropey reviews. It was very 50-50. Most people were complaining that it wasn't actually Doom. People were getting all funny about it because
the movement's too fluid.
It wasn't proper Doom and it was just some horror game that had the Doom label on it, right?
Right.
But the reason that I have sort of got this weird issue with it is that I'm getting absolutely spammed left, right, and centre, no matter where I look, with advertising about its release. Now,
have you been googling it a lot?
No, not at all. I'm talking about like it's sponsoring at the moment. It's everything on Twitch, like every single thing.
So yeah, you've been delving into Twitch too much, mate.
Yeah, but it's also on TV.
Yeah, actually, there's been a lot of TV. Again, I've been living in a bubble. This is my problem. Where I watch minimal live TV and minimal live. I've been living on Netflix and YouTube, whereas you've been living on Twitch and TV, and clearly they know their target audience.
Yeah, but I'm not their target audience. This is kind of my point. They're like spamming this advertising, and like there's probably not any scenario where I buy this game, right?
Right.
I don't know why. It's not a specific thing. It's just that I'm not that interested in buying Doom. So I almost, this is the point where even in working in marketing, I wish I could say, just give up, guys. Just don't bother.
This is it. For the fans back home, we've just logged in. Today we're going to be talking about Doom. Nick, are you going to buy Doom? Certainly not. What about you, Brad? No, definitely not my kind of game. Okay, so let's chat Doom.
This isn't about the Doom gameplay. When the game comes out and it turns out to be the best thing ever, I'll be like, oh my god, I always said I was going to get it.
But it's mostly the fluid motion stuff. I guess people are going to be complaining because they're used to it being a nice little linear shooter, no verticality. You slide around, your head bobs a bit from time to time. You get a nice little grunty face looking left and right, and like that's it. But actually, like I don't know. I find the way it looked, like the fluid motion trailer that they released a little while ago. It's one of the ones that's actually on the Steam page for it and stuff at the moment. Is really nice. Yeah. Like, frankly, that actually made me quite excited. even from a kind of non-player perspective.
I've got this really weird problem with it, right? And I realise this is completely irrational and it's unfair, but the game just seems to be picking a really odd time to come out. And I don't understand who thought this is a good idea.
Yeah, someone odd in their release department. They've probably been working on it for so long that when they finally got to a point that they decided it was ready, they probably just got to the point where they went, screw it, when it's ready, and just decided to release it. The general kind of vibe I get as well from it, that's I guess, just a bit odd. It's the same with the old Doom. It's like, it needs something that's kind of, it can be very good at what it is, but at the end of the day, it's still kind of something that's been done to death. It's like, it's claustrophobic corridor environments, which, at least Alien Isolation kind of took something new to that and was like, it was a very different style of gameplay. This is claustrophobic, clinical kind of grey metal corridors that we've seen in hundreds of games, big angry monsters, shoot them, stuff blows up, and they'll have executed the gameplay. I'm sure the gameplay is probably smoother, better, and great, but to me it's nothing new. It's just a very, very good execution of something that's been done many times before. That's perfect.
Yeah.
People are probably going to bite my head off for saying that, but yeah, that's the vibe I get. I mean, I've seen it.
We don't have fans for people to bite your head off, Nick. So you're all right.
Good, but you know what I mean. And I think you think back to certain games that have done something different with those environments in the past. It's things like, when you had Fear, First Encounter, Assault Recon. At least there it was again. It was that shift through from action to horror game as kind of more supernatural elements came out, and it was a lot more kind of atmospheric. There was the things like the Chronicles of Riddick game as well, which even though Butcher Bay and stuff, which wasn't great, let's be honest, but it was it was at least trying to do something a little bit new. If you change it too much and try and reinvent it, people even more so than they're already saying with this game end up coming out and saying you've ruined it, it's not even Doom, what have you done, why did you reinvent the wheel? But then if you don't do anything new with it, it just feels like, okay, great, it's something which at the time was revolutionary, and no matter how well you do it, it's still going to be.
But do you think this is partly because Doom as a heritage game, as one of the Hall of Fame games that everyone knows?
# Lord Braben.
Do they just rely on the fact that it's Doom that's the game? And I say this because Bethesda, especially with Fallout, obviously Fallout was massive and they advertised the absolute hell out of it and it was everywhere you looked. Now, have they just basically got the same marketing plan and just gone, we'll just do that with Doom?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, perhaps, yeah.
I mean, I'm being picky, but the point, I just think it's really weird how much money they're putting behind the marketing of it. And I said, this is really cynical. I said to Amy, why, if the game was really, really, really good, then they almost wouldn't have to advertise it because everyone's going to buy it. But the fact is they're hitting it so hard. Is it because they know it's not going to sell?
Or is it that they're trying to almost kind of, those who are engaged in the scene, yes, are going to know that it's here, have been following all this news and yes, okay, it'll stand up on its own right. But when you bear in mind that Doom 3 was 12 years ago now, are they simply trying to just kind of reinvigorate and just inform the kind of the more casual gamer audience who aren't actually followers of the press as much, that actually, look, this is coming, it's here, and kind of re-engage that element, especially with the style of game it is. It's the sort of thing that a lot of casual gamers and stuff will probably sound slightly patronising, but not casual gamers, but you know what I mean. That the kind of the mainstream gamer will want. It's got massively broad appeal, so perhaps that's what it is.
It's just, I just feel like everywhere I look, it's just there. And it's just kind of so dominant at the moment, especially given that I compare it to when adverts are loading on YouTube or Twitch. I'm expecting them to be about Uncharted, to be honest. Yeah. Just because it's the game of the moment. And then it's Doom. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Though you've got to bear in mind as well that jarring. Uncharted is an exclusive. So they'll be losing out to one platform. Obviously a very, very big platform with a lot of penetration. But, Doom's a cross-platform title. And they've got a huge amount of reach. And then, again, going back to the point of it being a long time since the last release, we're talking about an 18-rated game where the last one was 12 years ago. There are people who are now in their age bracket for this game who would have been 6 years old the last time a Doom game was out. So they've got plenty of people to re-inform. Those sorts of people weren't even alive when the old original Dooms were out.
This is why you're a media planner and I'm just working online, isn't it? Because you're thinking about audiences, and I'm just going, Jesus Christ, their impression caps are a bit stupid.
Technically speaking, I'm an unemployed bum, but that's cool. It
Well,
is
yeah.
what it is.
Let's just claim you're a media fan still. How that works.
Sure, man.
All right, I've killed Doom a little bit. I've just had my little rant to say about it. But
What else we got? What's on our plate?
let's talk about something that we've actually been playing, which is Overwatch.
Did you actually get any time on it in the end?
I played quite a bit of it on PC in the end.
Okay,
Uh,
so you fully on more than me. I should have got it on PC. I chucked it on the PS4 with the intention of playing with Will, and then we
yeah,
never actually managed to sync up, and me
yeah,
and you never managed
that's
to
how it
sync up.
works.
So it's all good. But yeah, so I played it a bit, and I've then been reading up on it plenty.
Right, so what do you think? I mean, just did you enjoy it?
I did actually, a lot more than I expected to. I mean, I'm not massively. There are elements of it that I wouldn't necessarily have expected to enjoy as much. I'm not a huge Blizzard fanboy really, and and equally it takes a lot of inspiration from MOBAs and that sort of thing. And MOBAs have never been my scene. I guess the closest thing, which obviously is a very obvious comparison, that's kind of more in my play base is like Team Fortress 2. But that kind of, I guess, again, I
Yeah,
haven't played a huge amount recently, apart from kind of this last week or two when I kind of played it in the lead up to Overwatch. Um, and oddly, I guess, yes, I've probably played Team Fortress 2 quite a lot to death, but I was actually, in many ways, enjoying Overwatch more just because of, I guess, the novelty and the breadth of those different characters. There's definitely elements to which they feel like they're kind of direct counters of each other. You kind of who to jump to take on a certain other character and that sort of thing. So sometimes you're kind of getting forced to play with certain people, but that's always been that way to an extent, even on TF2. So yeah, I actually really liked it.
I've sort of been hyped for Overwatch, almost too much so, and it's just because I've been following
Mm.
other people playing it, and it's also being involved in wanting to kind of have the beta and um, wanting to get access to the game and wanting to like see it develop, and in terms of first person shooters, which I mean at its core that's what it is. Coming to it fresh without really knowing anything, it is a team based shooter.
Yeah.
I can see. I know what you mean about its hero sort of quality of like the MOBA stuff.
Yeah, but it's still a team-based shoot. I mean, it is gameplay-wise, feature-wise, even the way they've split things out into offense, defense, tank, and and support and stuff. The way the whole teams are structured, there are huge comparisons with Team Fortress 2, and I think it's totally fair to make that very direct comparison. They've obviously taken a lot of insight, over the course of the time that Valve's game obviously has been out, and they've got plenty of inspiration from that. And it's probably going to play into its favour, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that the sort of the question from a PC gamer's point of view, and also with it being BattleNet, and that's the only way you're going to get to
Yeah.
it, is it different enough, or is it going to be a game that pulls people off of TF2?
I think to an extent it offers something kind of different. I guess it's in the same way that Team Fortress 2 is being played so much still. And so is Counter Strike. So those are classics that aren't really going to go away overnight. I think the difference with this comes largely from the characters more than the kind of the artistic styling and that sort of thing. Obviously, it's kind of Blizzard's classic, fantasy look and feel, as well as that cartoony-esque nature. Whereas the Team Fortress 2 is founded more on actual kind of like comedic comic in terms of its kind of its artistic style. It's a different look, a different vibe. But actually, in terms of gameplay, it's down to the characters entirely. To me, it feels very, very different. These are actual unique individual characters with names. It's not the heavy, the medic, whatever. It's cloned, which is slightly odd in a way when you start seeing, but you're seeing clones of, you're seeing two Reapers, and they're thinking that's actually a dude, with a personality, a backstory. It's kind of odd. There's more than one of him in the ring. Might have actually been a nice touch if they'd made it actually cap out at one, similarly to what you get in kind of some of the other games, and equally in kind of even games cross genre, like with kind of Rainbow Six Siege, you can only have one person playing as each operator, so you try it, which kind of forces you to complement with other roles, which would actually save. It might be nice to see if that would be a server option in the release game, because you do, it would help with some of the games where you, for example, have just completely unbalanced teams just of shed loads of bastions, or just a team with absolutely no tanking character because everyone's kind of going for the COD mentality of running around trying to get kind of Twitch kills. So it would actually help with that. I mean, given Rainbow Six Siege took quite a bold move on that front, where they capped it at one, only one of each operator could be in a server, and you also have to unlock each of the operators gradually. You don't even start with them unlocked. So, if your ones get taken, you've only got a handful unlocked. You can even get to the point where you have to just play as the recruit character again, which is quite kind of emasculating when you've been playing for a while. But yeah, I mean, so if they've been quite bold with it, it would have been interesting to see if these guys had gone in and done something similar. But I guess they want, Blizzard have taken the approach of not wanting to lock characters out or lock any content out. They want to keep it so that all you're really unlocking is still the kind of more kind of just pure aesthetic items, that sort of thing.
With the way that they've designed the characters and the way that they've got bucket-loads of unlocks and skins and decals and all this stuff. It's like with the way that Blizzard usually do this stuff, they're used to releasing these sort of free-to-play games or subscription games, and you slowly pay to unlock more stuff. Right, that's their sort of their standard way of working. They've been doing it for
Yeah,
years, and I feel like they've kind of inbuilt that into this game, even though it's a full price release. Which I don't know, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It just sort of shows Blizzard's mentality of, right, this is the game, this is how it's going to work, and then there's going to be a competitive ladder, and then there's going to have these unlockable box random loot drops. It may be unlocking a box or opening a Hearthstone pack, but it's basically the same as Diablo. It's been doing it for
yeah,
years.
it's a nice kind of cosmetic system, and something that Ken, actually, one of the guys I was chatting to before this, picked up on, is that it's nice they've built in a slight kind of hybrid system where, as well as the random unlocks, you also get that kind of part of your kind of unlocking potential goes towards that more just generic in-game currency, which you can then use to actually kind of pick your unlocks as well. So you've got kind of a dual system to some extent, which is nice. At least gives you a bit of control.
Some people are saying that games should be free to play. Do you think that the games, like we know of what you've played so far, do you think there's enough?
If you look at what happened with games like kind of Titanfall and that sort of thing, it's probably already got more depth than than that did, which obviously was still kind of a relatively successful title in its own right. And
Zing.
I mean, I bought it. I can't say I played it that much after the first kind of release month, but it is what it is. God, I hate that phrase, but yeah. And so, well,
it is what it is.
But yeah, so I think it is, and it'll be interesting to see what else they work on as the game kind of comes about. How much they're going to kind of flesh things out. They're already kind of starting to build up with the kind of YouTube miniseries they're already doing, kind of building out the backstories. Really nicely put together. They're fleshing out the backstories, the characterization. It'll be nice to see how that kind of ends up playing out in terms of additional game modes and stuff. If we end up seeing even full-on spin-off releases, and they actually start building this out into kind of a lore in and of itself. Whether we see kind of full single player style campaigns coming together from this, and above and beyond. There's a lot of scope for them to grow and build this. So is it fully in depth? Sure, it'd be nice if it was one of these kind of mid-price titles, 20, 30 quid, but it's harder to do that when you're looking at titles that span across the console market as well. It's a lot less common to see that happen. And I think we kind of always expected it was going to be a full price release. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's exactly going to knock their sales that much, so why would they cut it?
That's where I'm going to stop for now. We've got a lot more content to go. Nick and I have chatted for about an hour and a half. But I'm going to break up the podcast into a few different episodes. I'm not sure that people are going to be listening to 90-minute podcasts on our first attempt. So hope you've enjoyed this one. And we'll see you next time.